Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the 12th Man podcast. My right hand man, Owen, as always, usually on a Tuesday night. So much to talk about, Owen. We're going to be looking back at the weekend: Liverpool, Man City, Villa, Spurs, how that leaves the title race, the top four race, the race for Champions League football. We'll look back at the rest of the weekend's results, including ones for Chelsea and Man United. We'll look ahead to the Arsenal's game tonight in Porto, which kicks off in roughly 1 hour's time. We'll look as well at the Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League heading on the second legs. More so Europa League and Conference League, obviously. All them second legs taking place on Thursday, and how many English teams are going to be involved in this quarter-final draw on Friday, as the likes of Spurs, Villa, and Man United are sweating really on that fifth place. At the moment, it looks like fifth may not be enough for Champions League, so we'll look at that, and we'll also finish off by looking ahead the weekend where the Premier League and FA Cup are taking basically centre stage. It's a shared weekend, some Premier League games and some big FA Cup ties, including, of course, Man United against Liverpool on St. Patrick's Day. So much to talk about, Owen. How are you feeling ahead of tonight's show?
I'm grand, as I said to you before we came on. It's been a mad day of news for me as a Liverpool fan, so I've just been keeping track with that for today. But all good.
I suppose before we talk about Liverpool Man City, let's touch on today's news. Michael Edwards has been confirmed as Liverpool's new man. He's going to be the head of football operations. Different than when he was there before. And it looks now pretty much nailed on that Richard Hughes will take on Michael Edwards' role when he was at Liverpool of being the technical director. So he will work under Michael Edwards. And them two together will decide Liverpool's next manager, transfer targets along with that manager. And basically, Michael Edwards will be the go-between for Richard Hughes and FSG. I mean, it's big news for Liverpool because it didn't look likely that Edwards was going to be coming on 2 or 3 weeks ago, but now they've got him, moved pretty quickly, and it's significant for Liverpool that they're losing, yes, significant character and club, but they're replacing him with some people have even said is more important. So, I mean, what's your reaction to today's news?
Just as you said, like a few weeks ago when the news first broke that he was a target to come back, but apparently he had no interest in coming back. So they must have had different conversations in the weeks gone by, and they've struck a deal, and it looks like he's going to be heading on not just Liverpool. I think he's the head of FSG now, and you've seen today that apparently FSG want to get involved with the club model, the way Man City do it, and the way our teams do it. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of that.
And it looks like Richard Hughes has manned the front, the technical side. We don't know an awful lot about him. Obviously, he's done pretty well at Bournemouth. Some good transfers, obviously some poor ones as well, but a lot of good ones. He's been with Bournemouth for quite some time and quite highly rated, but this is a massive step up. As Simon Jordan says on TalkSport today, picking players for Bournemouth and picking players for Liverpool is completely different level. You're picking players that you think can do a job of keeping in the Premier League, plus have a lot of sell-on value. The bigger clubs, whereas now it's about buying players that can win Premier Leagues and Champions League. So that'll be the challenge for Hughes, won't it? But I suppose if Edwards is giving him a lot of confidence, you have to support Edwards.
Well, him and Edwards are best mates, like, so he knows him. He knows him more than we do. And funny enough, in Hughes' time at Bournemouth, we've actually sold a few players to Bournemouth for premium fees. So it'll be interesting to see how it works. But as much as losing Klopp is a big blow, I'm excited for what lies ahead.
Let's focus on the here and now, because obviously there's a big game on Sunday. We've done a bit of coverage on Sunday night for about 30 minutes or so we'll delve deeper into it now. Liverpool, I mean, fantastic in that second half against Man City. I mean, how did you see Sunday's game? Because I thought Man City would have won. A lot of people thought Liverpool would win, and some people were saying it's probably going to be a draw, and that's exactly what it was. I mean, I said to you before the game, no outcome in this game would surprise me. No shock that it's ended on a draw, but Liverpool's second half are very, very good.
It's one of them strange ones. I'm going into the game. All right, Darren, what's great? Going into the game, I was thinking, right, I would take a draw now, but the way we played in that second half, the one that sticks out in my mind, we'll speak about the penalty in the end. But the one that sticks out in my mind is when Diaz was one on one. I was like, right, this is it. We're scoring here, and then he fluffs his lines. It was Salah that passed it into him. You want that the other way about. You want Diaz and they Salah because I think if that was Salah running through, we're talking about Liverpool 3 points. But credit to the lads. Like when I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the starting lineups on Sunday, I was like, we're in for a beating here. But credit as many times this season we've stuck up to the challenge, and I don't think Man City have played that badly in the second half in my time anyway. I know Villa played them
Mm,
well, but this is the against a big side like this is the first time I've seen them. It was almost like they were scared in a way.
Klopp said it was his best 45 minutes as Liverpool manager against Man City in his Liverpool
I would
career.
probably agree. Yeah.
Um, and I mean, it begs the question, you know, how do you see it now walking away from that? Decent point, or we could have had more. How do you see it? Because it's very tight there at the top, and it's another game where you look back at that Man United game. They only drew it at home. Arsenal they drew at home. It's three draws where on all their days they could have won them all.
Yeah.
You think about the United game, the chances they had, the Trent chance they make it 2-1 against Arsenal hits the bar, and the Diaz chances here they won this game. And if you look at that, that's 6 points. They could have had more if they had took their chances in them games. And we're sitting
It's,
here and we're saying Liverpool are strong favourites. They won the league at the minute. It's very, very tight now between the three teams.
I actually saw the. I didn't see much of the Monday Night Football last night, but I actually saw um there was like a computer predicted Man City are favorites or Liverpool
Opta.
are second. Man City are favorites, Liverpool are second favorites, and Arsenal are third. So I don't know how you see it, but like no, like the one game this season that sticks out to me more than this game and the Arsenal game is the United game at home. We should have put them to the sword, and like when you're up against Arsenal and Man City in their form, you have to beat these teams. But you know what? Like going into the game, as I say, would have taken a draw, but you're coming out of it now going, we should have had more. So
Do
I,
you
I
feel that
definitely think,
Liverpool deserved they won that game over the 90 minutes? Do you feel that they did enough in the game? They walk away from there thinking that they've left 2 points behind, or do you still think it's very much Man City done okay first half and they were probably the better team? Do you feel it was a fair result, or do you feel that Liverpool deserved the three?
on the balance of things, it was probably a fair result. But on the if I'm talking about the second half performance, we should have scored at least 2 goals, and obviously we should have had a penalty, in my opinion. But them's the breaks, and just think, you know what, getting a point to Man City home and away isn't a bad result. And at the end of the season, we could look at it two ways. It's either going to be a good point, or it's either going to be a point that takes the title away from us. So I'll know
Mm.
more coming on Easter Sunday, depending on the result between the other two. Which at the minute I'm praying for a draw, or you know what, I would say a Man City won because as much as they have a good run in, I just think we have momentum at the minute. They go on and beat anyone.
Mm. Man City started really well. I think the first 5 minutes, they run a couple of times down that left side with Alvarez. De Bruyne was getting on it, kind of running the show. And at that stage, I thought Liverpool run for a long afternoon.
Yes, yeah.
There was a couple of chances as well they didn't make the most of, but they got in front. And towards the end of that second half, Liverpool started to command it, and then the second half they dominated Man City. I think from that 45th minute to the 75th minute, it was constant one-way traffic. I think the last 15 minutes, City commanded again. There was a couple of chances
Yeah.
to counter-attack. Could have went either way. But
Turkey
for
had the
30,
boost.
30, 35 minutes, Liverpool were putting Man City under all sorts of pressure. But, I
Yeah.
mean, you think about that Man City team that are so good at controlling games. I mean, Man City had them under all sorts of pressure, 1-0 down. Even that there's a one part of the game the crowd had maybe was a bit quieter than the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And Liverpool managed to get back into it. I mean, Gary Neville alluded to Man City taking their foot off the gas again. We've seen this in games this season where they've been one up in games. You think about the home game against Liverpool,
Yeah.
the 2-1 they were up against Spurs. They let Spurs back in. There has been a few instances this year that's happened, but I mean, Liverpool did really well, and I think players like Endo, McAllister all stepped up. You look at the Man City midfield player for player, it's stronger than Liverpool's, but it didn't
Yeah.
show on the day.
No, I think I was listening to Gary Neville on commentary. I don't know if you heard it. He said Man City are coasting through the game, but Anfield doesn't allow you to coast. So as you say, Man City took their foot off the gas, and we sort of sensed that. And I thought Rodri being on a yellow card probably didn't help too because he was probably afraid to go in. go on the tackles. Argue for me, he probably should have been sent off. Maybe if Diaz had went down. Remember, but he didn't go
Mm.
down when he was on his. So, and I think a big thing too was when De Bruyne came off. I think when De Bruyne came off, we really got control of it. But then
I
again, for
think they
me,
were struggling at the time when he was on too, but
uh,
I think he was knackered. He wasn't getting the ball. I think Pep just seen it as get him off. He wasn't having an effect. But
I
like you
thought
said, a lot of Liverpool fans were happy when he went off because they
yeah,
know he's got that quality, as we
I
seen with the
thought
corner kick.
to me, if you're thinking of one player for me, it was Alexis McAllister. I thought he ran the show on Sunday. I thought he was excellent.
Definitely playing better higher up now in that position. He's more suited. I mean, you look at that Man City team, strong side. We know how good they are. They could still go on. They won a treble this year because we know what they're
Yeah,
like. Even when they're not at their best, they can win games. But I looked at that on Sunday, and Walker looks like a player that's he's past his best now. That's been evident in a few games this year. I think he really struggled with Diaz. I don't know, maybe he's lost a yard, and that's all it takes. Ake really struggled. I'm not sure he's that left back role at the moment's working out for him. You can see Man City really going out for two fullbacks in the summer, can you?
yeah. It just depends on who because they're not going to get Alfonso Davis from Bayern Munich. I think he's nailed on to go to Madrid. And while you're at that Madrid team next year is going to be scary because we all know who's going to be their star striker.
Mm,
But I think that's probably the weakest of Man City's team, and I think they need another striker. I know they have Holland obviously, but I think they need a back. I know they have Holland and Alvarez, but I think Holland only had one touch in our box all game on Sunday, like so. But
but
I definitely think they need a backup striker.
I think that's. I mean, a lot of people were critical of Haaland, but just think that's his game. He's not going to be the type of player that's going to get involved. I think he's very much just about putting the ball in the net. But
Yeah,
as you say, you look at Spurs' two fullbacks and you think Man City could be snuffing around there. The good news for Spurs is they've tied them both down to long-term
yeah.
contracts. But if you look at the way Spurs play, the fullbacks coming on side and stuff, you'd imagine that Man City would be the type of
Yeah.
players that they'd be looking at. I
I
could be the
actually,
worry for Spurs.
I actually think Liverpool need a fullback as well in the summer. I think we need a left back, not to take over from Robertson yet, just because I don't think Simicast is good enough. So I think right back we're short at like.
You mentioned it there at the top of the show. Looked to be heading for a 1-1 draw, and there was a collision in the box between McAllister and Doku. Owen, we've sort of spoke about this on Sunday evening. We've had a bit more time. We've heard the experts. We've heard the likes of Darren McGallagher coming in, and a lot of pundits have had their say. And I have
Yeah.
to say, it's divided football right down the middle. Some are saying penalty. Some are saying it's just a coming together. It's unavoidable. How do you see this? And I suppose the fact that we've seen some people say they're not sure, maybe
Yeah.
the VAR was right not to get involved because if we've got so many people having their say in it and they're not sure, then if it's not clear and obvious, they did the right thing not to get involved. So, what was your opinion on the incident?
If I'm taking bias out of it, like I, it's a foul. If we're taking the penalty out of it, it's a foul in my opinion. If it's outside the box, it's a foul. If it's in the box, it should be a foul. And this whole crack about Docky getting to the ball first, if you watch it really, McAllister got to the ball first. It
Mm.
hit McAllister's chest before Docky. So for me it's a penalty all day, and it's just another poor decision from the officials.
Do you see, even though you think it's a penalty, do you
Yeah.
think there's enough on the replays that the VAR should get involved? How did you see it? Do you still think the VAR should have recommended an on-field review? Do you feel there was enough there for a clear and obvious error, or do you kind
For
of see
me,
why they didn't get
I
involved?
think it's a bit of both. I can see why they didn't, but for me, they have to. And I seen, I don't know if you've seen it, but I've seen reports of Michael Oliver not liking when the VAR gets involved. I think he really likes to be in charge of his games, and he doesn't like when the VAR gets involved. So maybe that came in there too. But
Well, he's viewed as the best referee, isn't he? So it takes a
yeah, but
it takes a big person to jump on there and say you've got
if
that wrong.
if you're the best referee in our country, then you're not up against much, to be fair. But no, it's one of them. People are saying it isn't. People are saying it is. But for me, it's a pen all day, and I'll be saying that if it was for United or
Mhm.
for City, it's a pen.
Here's my opinion on it, right? I thought
Mm.
penalty right away. In live play, I thought definite penalty. Watched the replay back, still believe it as a foul and a penalty. But going by the rules, I'm not sure there's enough there to suggest that's an obvious, clear, it's a clear and obvious error.
I think
Therefore,
that's
it's the
I
biggest
think
game of the
that's the
season so
problem.
far. It's the biggest game of the season so far. It's basically the last kick of the game. I
Yeah.
think all them factors didn't help, but I also feel that
No.
I honestly feel there's an opportunity. There's a chance if Michael Oliver hadn't sent to the screen, he may have stuck with his on-field decision as well. I really do think because he was right there and he seen it. And if you listen to, I was listening to Talk Sport, Sky, Dermot Gallagher saying he thinks it's a penalty, but the VAR is never going to get involved because it's not obvious. Because McAllister gets there first, like you said, Docky actually kicks the ball before he makes contact with McAllister as well. So that's also worked against Liverpool. So there was just so many factors involved. I just think they didn't see it as an obvious. I think if he kicks him without kicking the ball,
Uh,
it's sent to the screen. But I think the fact he's got the ball, but should
I
that
think
negate the factors of foul after? Probably not. But I
we've
think this is
we've,
where the rules don't help the referees.
we've seen some. I don't want to go back to it, but did Curtis Jones not get the ball before he took out Basuma's ankle? I think he did. So we've had instances where players have got the ball and it's still a foul. I think the biggest problem for me is the clear and obvious. I think they need to get rid of that because it's just subjective, and if it's a foul, it's a foul. There's no clear and obvious about it. If it's a foul, it's a foul.
Mm. I mean, it was such a shame because I thought the referee
I
refereed it really,
had
really
a good
well.
game on or not.
Mm. What was your thoughts on the penalty Liverpool got? Stonewall, or do you think Nunez bought it?
Nah, that one was a small, but he did over exaggerate
It
the
reminded
fall.
me of a lot of Harry Kane's penalties at Spurs where he kind of threw himself
Nice.
on there. But
To be
he
fair,
did get
I actually seen now Ederson's out for a month.
mm,
Who serves him
for a
right?
season. But
I
I don't think he's
I've
been
always,
great this season.
I've always said like comparing him to Allison is a joke.
Mm. He wouldn't have played this weekend against Newcastle in the cup. He doesn't play in the cups. How much he'll miss when he comes back after the international break, we'll have to wait and see. But
To be
I don't
fair,
really think he'll play it. Like
Ortega's been alright when he's came on for them.
Darren agrees, penalty, but Nunez knew exactly what he was doing. Modern day penalties, as they
Yeah.
say. Let's talk about Nunez and Diaz because I was thinking about this today, and we were just speaking about the United game, the Arsenal game, this game, and these two are the two main contributors to this. I mean, they are quite profligate at times. They do tend to miss quite a lot of chance. I mean, I thought Diaz was outstanding
He
on
was
Sunday. He
there.
was the best attacker on the pitch between both teams. It was constantly torturing Walker, and a lot of the chances he was making himself. But when it came down to it, he doesn't have that composure of a Salah. Nunez, we've seen at times this year, although got better, still doesn't have that composure of a
Yeah.
Salah. Is that going to be the difference for Liverpool? I mean, if these two are consistent for the next 10 games, they could win it. But if they're going to continue to miss big chances and big games, it could really hurt Liverpool.
To be fair to Nunez, his problem on Sunday wasn't missing chances. His problem on Sunday was staying on side. I was losing my head. But,
Offside 25 times this season. Haaland offside once.
but
That's.
Haaland, the difference is Haaland doesn't move about. He just stands there
I
and
think
hopes
a
he
lot of
gets them.
Nunez's ones are simple. They're just not coming back. They're
I
almost
I
lazy
think
at times.
I don't think it's laziness. I just think he's too eager. But I I
It's
I
25 times. Or
I agree.
that's
Like
the
the
ones that they pay up for. That's not the ones they
yeah,
let go on. If he's not, know what I mean?
yeah,
There's loads,
actually,
probably more.
you're speaking of Diaz there. I actually saw a thing on. I think it was on Twitter where somebody said if Diaz had the finishing, he would be £100 million player.
Yeah.
He was electric on Sunday,
You
but
think about the chance that Son put away in the Villa game, where it just comes at him and he just blasts the first time into the roof net. Some of
Diaz
the goals
doesn't
Salah
score out.
scores, you just look at Diaz and Nunez and think 9 times out of 10 you're not sure if they're going to score. Whereas a Salah or Son or a Haaland's 1-on-1, 9 times out of 10 you expect a goal.
To be fair to Nunez, like he has got better at that. Like I think he's improved much more. But I do agree. Like we need them in these last 10 games. We need them to be firing all cylinders, especially
I
if
mean, you,
Salah's.
you can't fault their all round game because
Uh,
they're full of energy, they're creating chances, they're making their own chances, but just in the end, don't put them away at times. And
that's what I'm saying. We need them to be fully at it for the last 10 games, especially if because we don't know what if Salah's fully fit or not. So I think, but I've more. I actually have more faith in Nunez to put away chances than I have Diaz, to be honest. But I think I think Diaz had everything on Sunday apart from the finishing.
that's that. If he scores, he's man of the match. I think it's one of them ones.
No, I actually thought
Um,
Endo. Endo was given Liverpool's man of the match, I think, from the actual Liverpool account.
I think Sky gave it to Van Dijk, who's outstanding
No.
too. I mean, it was hard to cut. Liverpool were very, very good. 1-11. Even the subs come
Yeah.
on, they were all good. So just the only thing missing was the 3 points. And I mean, how do you see it now, Owen? Because better points for Liverpool, Man City, or do you think Arsenal were the weekend's big winners?
You have to say Arsenal, don't you? Like that's the dream result for them. But in terms of Man City and Liverpool, I think it's obviously a better point for Man City because the record's awful at Anfield. They've only won once there, and that was when there was no fans on the ground. I think Guardiola said after the game, Anfield was like a tsunami. They just never stopped. But I think the winners of the weekend would have been Arsenal. But I'm still confident we can go on and win the league.
There's a lot of things going Liverpool's way in terms of I think the players. If you look at the three teams, the minute the players are playing to the death for Klopp, it's
I
almost as
honestly
if
think
it's
if
almost
Klopp,
as if football's ending
yeah.
at the end of the season and they are giving it everything. They won the league for him, but
I almost think if Klopp hadn't announced he was leaving, I don't think we would be as good, if that makes sense.
and if you look at it, the only thing I'm worried about is Man City at home draw, Arsenal at home draw, Man United at home draw. They haven't won a big game in Anfield this year, unless you count Chelsea. But
To be fair,
the
Man
big
City have
teams are
only
in
beat
them.
one, but Man City have only won
No, I
one
get
big
that. Man
game.
City as well are in the same boat. Arsenal are the team that seem to be been able to take 3 points in the big games. So that's the worry. I remember we says about we seen Spurs' record ain't
Yeah.
that great at Anfield, but who's to say? Looking at it this season, there's no reason we can't go there and get a draw. If Arsenal have, if Man City have, if United have. So that's the thing. Liverpool need to make sure, although they're not losing games at home, they need to make sure they're converting them points into
Well,
3 points.
I'm hoping by the Liverpool Spurs game we have a bit of a gap, but I can't see it now. No, we do have to win these big games at home, but I think our next league game is Brighton at home. I expect us to win that, and then I think it's home to Sheffield United or away to Man United. It's one of the two. I don't
Home to Sheffield, I think they are. I think their home games are Spurs is probably the only one there. You'd probably go tough. The rest of
uh,
them you'd expect
I
to
think
win.
I think Sheffield. I'm looking at Sheffield United as a goal difference. As a goal difference thing.
Well, that's it. They're 7 behind Arsenal on goals. Points the same, so they'll look to bring that back. You never know. Could go a goal difference. Who knows?
But
But again,
it's gonna be a tight end of the season. I'm looking forward to the Arsenal Man City game. Just I'll be in the same boat as Arsenal fans. We're hoping for an
well, that's it.
interesting draw.
We're an hour week in, and we're still no closer to who's winning this league. And hey, if the Man City Arsenal game's a draw, we're maybe back in the same situation, and it's a fight in the last 9 games. But it really is hard to call them on it. I think all three teams have things going for them, and then they've other things
Like,
they're going against. So it's really
I
tight. There's
was
not much between these three teams.
no, I was convinced. I think around Christmas time, I was convinced that one of the teams would drift away, but it doesn't seem to be the case. They're all up there. They're all fighting, and I think it'll come down to who has the and history would suggest it's Man. Who do we want
City.
to win? I've already said Man City because if I actually fancy if Arsenal won that game, I would say they've won it.
I think you're right. Of Arsenal. Well, the only thing is Arsenal have the hardest running. They have to play Man City
You,
away. They have to play Spurs away, Man United away, Brighton away, and Wolves away. So they play five of the
you,
top 9 or 10 away
you
from
would
home,
say
which is
that's a
they're
hard
all
you would say that's a hard one, but Spurs, I think Spurs will be the most difficult because it's a derby. United,
Spurs will not want Arsenal winning the league.
no, United are dreadful. I know we're playing them at the
And
weekend, and
that's
we
the
keep.
time they play United second last game, and
I
they
like
might not have to play
you.
for. They might
You
have
as
nothing to
a
play for.
you as a Spurs fan, obviously you aren't directly in the title race, but you'll have a big say in where it ends up in.
Well, Big Ange is saying different. He's saying we bit Fulham on Saturday. We're 8 points behind level games. He says never roll us out. Now I think
Nah,
we all know that's not going to happen. But I think the way he's
like
looking at it is 8 points, and we have to play all three teams, bid all
if
three teams, and you're right on with a
mm,
chance. But I do not see it. I think
mhm,
we'll have a say in who
uh,
wins it because I
if
think we'll
you
take points off some of them teams.
if you beat Arsenal and beat City, I will come to your house and give you a hug.
You have to give me more than
but
that for hitting Liverpool
but
or for Man City.
no,
Um,
it's gonna be a fun end of the season, and I hope it's not. I can actually see it the final day, like all three teams are still being a chance.
I think Carragher makes another great point. The one thing that could throw spanners in the works is if Liverpool meet Man City in an FA Cup semi-final, Man City meet Arsenal in a quarter-final or semi-final of the Champions League. You've got all these games in between, and if they're playing each other, that's going to cause because you're going to have to play your strongest team against one of your rivals because you'll not want one you want to go through, and two psychologically you want to damage the opponent. So there is a good opportunity. There's a good chance Pep and Klopp will meet again. If not in the FA Cup semi-final, in the final, there's a good chance Man City and Arsenal will meet because I think they're the two favourites. They won the Champions League, providing Arsenal go through the night. So I mean, so much they look forward to in these next 8 or 9 weeks. There could be some massive games. Owen, let's move on to the first part of Super Sunday. Everyone was looking at this as who was going to neck top four. A lot of people were saying fancied Villa at home, possibly a draw, but a high scoring game and maybe one side nicking it or a high scoring draw. But it completely went the opposite way, and it ended up being a seriously devastating one for Spurs, hitting Villa for 4. Believe it or not, that's the 4th time in our last 10 visits we've won 4-0 at Villa Park. So it is a notoriously good ground for us. And that second half performance from Spurs was outstanding. Despite Villa going down to 10 men, Spurs was on the ascendancy at that stage, 2-0 up. So big one for Spurs.
I'm not after the first half. I was nearly sleeping because it was
terrible.
It was terrible. But to be fair, Spurs just came out in the second half and he's got that goal from
we tend to do.
He's got that goal from. I thought the cross from Sarr was. I would say it reminded me about a David Beckham. Just the way he got the whip on it, and then Madison. Even though I can't stand him, I think I don't like him, but he's a quality footballer. And after that, even before the red card, I didn't fancy Villa getting back into the game. But I think Emery, he set up bad. I think he got it wrong. Like why change his setup that's worked so well? But like they beat Spurs at Spurs Stadium using. I know Spurs had the better of the chances that day, but like I don't know why he tinkered so much.
That was a moment in time, but on the balance of play, Spurs should have won that game. I mean, that's like one game this season, and we've lost our games where we could. But I mean, the amount of chances they had, they put the ball in the net about 5 times, and some of them were minimum offsides, and just one of them days they really should have made a sight. But I mean, you make a good point. Why did Emery change their back 5? Because Stefan makes some great points about Emery on here. I know Darren disagreed with him a few times there, but he does tend to panic at times and overthink it. And it really gives Spurs the ascendancy because it allowed Spurs to press them really high. And at times in that first half, even though Spurs didn't create a lot of chances, Villa couldn't get out. And they were sort of long ball over the top. And the problem with that was, although Watkins is quick, Van de Ven's quicker, and he was just mopping up behind. So really, it left them isolated and nowhere to go. And Spurs, even though at half time, I felt we were in control of the game.
I was really surprised when I saw the lineup and Diaby wasn't playing because I thought we Doggy would have been. Doggy's been great this season now. He's been
15 million euros. It's a bargain, wasn't it?
Is that all it cost you? I agree with you with your Man City point. I think if you didn't tie him down, they'd be all hear me. You're coming here. But no, when I saw especially Diaby not playing with the pace that he has, he could give Van de Ven for his money. He sacrificed a midfielder for a defender, which was really strange to me. But I agree. Like as much as we come on here and Stefan makes some points that a lot of people don't agree with, he's been spot on with his Emery assessment in big games. He seems to over. He reminds me of like Pep in Champions League finals gone by. Like he just overthinks it and it costs him. But
famously, Pep left out Rodri, didn't he, in the 2021 final against Chelsea, and it really. I always think you have to think about your own team, not think about the opponents, because.
Yeah,
in fact, that's the one thing I like about Ange. He never changes. He'll say, "Do you know what? We'll go to Man City. We 6 players must, and we're still going to play our way. Yes, we might lose, but we will learn in defeat." And we ended up getting a good draw. I mean, this is the difference. I think you talk about Ten Hag. He said he hasn't got the players to play his way, so he's changing tactics. But it just sets off this negative. Villa they lacked belief in that game. I think Emery's tactics had them beaten before he basically says we've give Spurs far too much respect. They're a better team than us, and we're going to have to respect them. Whereas if you look at it, Villa were ahead of Spurs in the table, and as you said, even though they were quite fortunate, they did beat us in the first game. So why change what's working?
It's a strange one. Like Klopp's the same. Klopp doesn't change. Like we've barely had a team the last few weeks, and we've still played the same. So I don't know why certain managers feel the need to change in big games because if something's broke, don't or something's not broke, don't fix it. That's the way I look at it.
Mm. Darren asking about Van de Ven. Just confirmed today he will miss this weekend's game, but he will be back after international break. Just minor pain in his hamstrings. So I
I'm not
think
going to lie. Like
basically
I'm not a Spurs fan, obviously, but when he went down on Sunday, I was all, oh, this could be bad for Spurs.
Liverpool fans will be praying he doesn't play at Anfield, because if he plays at Anfield, we have a chance, I think, of keeping these out anyway, and maybe nicking a few. But I think that he's a game changer because
Actually,
he play that way, doesn't he? He can push up
I,
high.
I actually think the Liverpool Spurs game, may I fancy that to be a high scoring one because you play with a high line and we play with a high line, so it'll be you score, I score. I think.
Good news for us is right, Darren. I mean, how much confidence do you think that'll give Spurs? Going there, 1-4-0. Kind of were second favourites. A lot of people were tipping Villa. They won. I know Darren tipped Spurs, but a lot of the pundits were siding with Villa, thinking maybe Spurs could get a draw at best. But because as I said, there was many people thinking this was going to be a game too far for Spurs. So, I mean, against the odds, they're back and they're now favourites for this top four fight if they won that game in hand, albeit away at Chelsea. Um, but I mean, from where they were, they've had to make up ground and they're back
Yeah.
on the fight. So, do you think you'll expect Spurs to maybe try and get back to where they were at the start of the season? They were winning a lot of games, 8 wins in the first 10 games, 2 draws. If they put that run together between now and the end of the season, they're top four.
I think that one on Sunday all but guarantees Spurs top four. To be honest, I think if they had a loss, they would have been what 7 points behind
We
Villa.
would have
Or,
been 8 behind with a game
uh,
in hand. So it would have been
I
quite a
so
stretch.
but I think that one all but guarantees it unless you have a complete capitulation, which I don't see. Like Ange doesn't, as you say, he doesn't change for whoever he's playing. So I think I think these are all but guaranteed champions.
I think two players are getting better. I'm looking at Brennan Johnson. He looks like he's getting better with more games.
Yep.
Basuma's looking back at his best. Madison had to take some time after his injury. He looks to be warming up. SARS looks better after that. I think we have a bad speller. I think Madison, Basuma come back from injuries. They looked a bit off it. SAR was away at the AFCON. He looked a bit off it after that. We seem to get players back to full speed. Doggy and Poro back together. If you keep them two fit, we're a different team. I think when them two, I think Van de Ven hasn't lost a game yet that he's played 90 minutes on, which is quite. We talk about the Van Dijk record. Obviously a lot longer, but when Van de Ven plays, Spurs tend to do very well. So if you can keep that back four fit, there's a good chance they can win a lot of games.
I to be honest, I don't care if Spurs win every game between now and the end of the season unless it I hope it's not the Liverpool game like below or not that I don't mind if he's won. But like no, I for me that one on Sunday guarantees Spurs top four as I say unless they completely fall off a cliff, but I can't see it. I
Do
think
you
it's a
say
bad
that?
route.
Do you say that because psychologically you think Villa is going to find it hard to recover from? Do you think that even if Spurs aren't perfect, do you think Villa might be slightly worse?
I think Villa will drop a few points because I think as Stefan said on Sunday, I think Emery might start to prioritize Europe if he feels they have a better chance of winning that than getting in the top four. And as we said at the start of the show, fifth doesn't guarantee Champions League at the minute.
Well, I'm really hoping Villa beat Ajax on Thursday, so it keeps them on a map of
I
the one,
just
one
but
game
if,
a week. So.
but I think this result on Sunday is really bad for Man United. I think that puts their hopes as none.
Yeah, I mean, do you think Spurs are building towards something that could be quite, I won't say special, but you think with Klopp leaving Liverpool at the end of the season, we're not sure how long our Pep's going to be around. You look at Arsenal, or the main team. You think in terms of youth, they are set up to strike. If Pep decides to walk after maybe one more year, Liverpool are going to have to rebuild under a new manager. Possibly Van Dijk, Salah are coming to the end of their Liverpool careers. We're not sure how long that's going to go on. Pure speculation, of course. But
No,
Arsenal look the best. Arsenal
Salah's
look the best place to strike. I mean, could Spurs be that our team? They maybe certainly push towards the top three at least.
They could be, and then you don't know what's going to happen at United or Chelsea. And as much as Liverpool are going to have a new manager, I don't think we'll have the fall off that the massive like I don't think we'll drop to like eight or ninth next season. Put it that way. I think we'll still be up third, fourth around that side. But just as you said about Salah, I think he's gone in the summer. That's me. That's me gut feeling about him. But
Mm.
for Spurs, I they if they keep the core of the squad that they have now, and then obviously they're going to add it in the summer.
I think
I think
I think you nailed it there. I think the main thing for Spurs in the summer, they have to back Ange with
yeah,
whatever he wants. Whether it's a £50 million player or a £10 million player, if he wants him, you go with his top target because he's recruitment. Not just him, of course, there's other people involved, but the recruitment team last summer, I think they nailed everything, really. You think about, I know Udoggy was signed the year before, I don't know, but you look at Udoggy, Porro's come on in the last year. Van de Ven's come on. Even that centre back Dragoson, he looked good from what I've seen on Sunday as well.
yeah.
He's going to get a start next week if Van de Ven's out, so it'll be interesting to see. But all the reports on him is very, very positive as well. You look at SARS coming in the last year; he looks brilliant. Basuma's been a good signing. Madison's been a great signing. Even Werner on a loan's been a steal. He makes an impact. I think Johnson, there's more to come. So the recruitment, Spurs have struggled with recruitment in the last number of years, but it seems they have finally come round again, and I think Ange is going to be a big part of that.
I think for Spurs, I don't know if you agree. I think the main
Sorry,
thing for
Vicario too with an hour one.
Vicario, the main thing for Spurs this summer is a striker.
We'll
That's
talk
what's
about
been
that
out
before
for
we
you.
come off.
I think
I think
Spurs
so.
need a
A
striker.
striker.
Just as you were talking about managers, like we were talking before we came on, like it's not always good what a manager wants because as we were speaking about,
We've got an
Klopp that
Ethiopian Arsenal fan here watching, so I'm not sure how he's
welcome
found
on,
us, but I hope you stick with
welcome
us.
on. Klopp didn't want Salah. Klopp wanted Julian Brandt and Michael Edwards was on. We're getting Salah here, lad. So that turned out to be a good piece of business.
Final thoughts on the top four. You sort of says it there. You think United's chances are gone now of getting that
Right,
fourth spot?
I think the top four as it is now will be the same. Only I think it'll be Spurs fourth and Villa fifth.
Yeah. Let's look at the rest of the weekend's results. Well, not all of them, but some of them anyway. Arsenal obviously won it lit on Saturday to go top of the league, and they needed a draw to stay top, and they are top. Left it lit, but I have to say we've criticised this man quite a lot, but he's come on the rich form and Havertz, and you have to say credit to Arteta and credit to Havertz. Not easy for me to say, but I can't lie, and he's been doing brilliantly recently.
He's been great. Shouldn't have been on the pitch right enough, but he's been good. Like he scored against Sheffield United too, didn't he? And I think they've sort of found that place in the team from now. And I think it all comes down to confidence too, because it wasn't too long ago we were speaking about Arsenal couldn't hit a barn door, and I think they've scored 32 in or something in their
Yeah,
last few games.
most goals now in the league as well.
And as you say, they're seven above us on goal
Yeah,
difference. So as I said there, I'm looking at that Sheffield United game as a banker to get a few goals. But credit to Arsenal. I'm not going to lie, I've written them off many times this season, but they seem to be defying expectations now. And I think a big reason for that is I think my big reason for that is Declan Rice. I think he's been a transformative signing. Although it was kind of funny to see Ramsdale be Ramsdale.
unfortunately, it didn't cost them in the end. Saying that with my Spurs hat on, but fair play to Arsenal. 8-1s in a row, and they go to Man City in such a good place. Obviously, kicking off now in 20 minutes time against Porto. That'll be a big game for them. But if they won that, they've a 2.5 week break, and they don't. They obviously play Man City then in a crucial game. And if they were to make it 9-1s in a row and beat Man City, I'm telling you, I will be sweating buckets about them winning this league. So let's hope for Spurs fans' sakes that doesn't happen.
I am from Isaac.
But really, Man City. I know Liverpool is a tough place to go, but equally Man City over the last number of years, not many teams
Yeah.
go to Man City 1-2, so it will be a
And
big task.
they went to Anfield and got a point. So for me, the best case scenario was anything but an Arsenal one.
And Liverpool, they make sure they do the business in the early game that day.
Yeah, we have to make
Sunday.
sure we're top before they kick off.
The early game on Saturday, seen United beat Everton by 2-0.
This was
A game that
dreadful.
really lacked quality, but in a funny way, it was. I've watched all the United games that lacked quality and they were boring. This was actually quite exciting because there was that many mistakes happening. It was a kind of end to end. Everton had 27 shots again. This record, United are giving up nearly 30 shots again against a team like Everton, who really were. We spoke about Diaz and Nunez being profligate. Well, Everton's whole team have been profligate all season. And again, take out the penalties. Everton were probably the better of the two teams, and if they had a half decent striker, they may have punished United. So papered over the cracks again, didn't it? How many times have we sat here on a Tuesday and says United won, but very unconvincing?
I watched it and I was it wasn't a great game. Two poor sides, and as a Liverpool fan watching it, like I'm not too scared going on this Sunday against United. Like what you say, they gave up 27 shots. I know we had about 30 shots at Anfield and didn't score against them, but surely that doesn't happen twice. If they give up that much against us on Sunday, we're comfortable winners there. As for Everton, like what they haven't won a game now since before Christmas, and
Not
it's just
December.
they
11 now,
don't
we had a one in the league.
they don't have a striker. Their defense is not great. It's just a team full with bang average players with a bang average manager. That's the only way I can describe it.
Luton scored late. They get a crucial point at Palace, and seeing the highlights, Palace should have won this game. Luton
Yeah,
in the end get a great draw, and we'll speak about them in a wee minute, Luton, because they're going to be playing them tomorrow night again. But just on this game, it keeps Luton on a chance, and it just about keeps. I think if Palace had won this, they were too far away from Luton, so it
yeah,
keeps them at a reachable distance. Palace on 29 points, 8 points ahead of Luton, but of course Luton could make that 5 tomorrow night. So it keeps Palace there, but Palace will be kicking themselves. They had won this game. I think they were clear.
yeah. I think Palace are clear anyway.
Mm,
I think they're grand, and for Luton, it's all about staying in it to the death. And as the manager said, they can't rely on points deductions or what points deductions are coming. So they have to play now as the table is. If the points
mm.
deductions come on and they survive, that's a bonus. But like if they beat Bournemouth on tomorrow night, they have every chance of surviving. But I just think it might be a bridge too far for them.
Burnley and Sheffield United suffered a heartache. Both had 2 goal leads and both threw them away and were caught right at the end. I mean, especially Burnley were really hanging on for a point. West Ham were
And
battering them at the end.
Danny
Sheffield
Ings
2
scored
up
a
against
penalty. Didn't
Bournemouth. I think but Danny Ings did score. He got one up rolled out too, and he also had the bar at the
he?
end. So there was a lot of chances at the end, and they've both conceded a lot of goals this year for how bad they've been. They've just or they could have had more points, even though how bad they've been. They've had a
Yeah.
lot of goals go against them, and I suppose that's just the quality of the Premier League, isn't it?
It's like we've had in years gone by. We've had Derby in the Prem who were useless. We've had Sheffield who were useless, but I think these two teams are just not good enough, not cut out for Premier League. And
Burnley at home and Sheffield United are Spurs away, or Spurs' 2 last games. So I'm hoping we get to that, and it's in our hands, and that top 4 spot's ours.
it's I think with Sheffield United, like the morale at Sheffield United must be down on the floor. Like I know Burnley's is probably the same, but they've conceded what 70 over 70 goals this season.
I think
It's just
Sheffield's goal difference is -50.
it's just not good enough for a team that wants to survive. So unfortunately for Sheffield and United and Burnley, I think they're heading one way, and that's back down to the Championship next season.
Brighton beat Forest by 1 goal to 0, but VAR took centre stage. Forest again feeling aggrieved.
Forest are getting it easy, are they? Surprised they're
I mean,
over.
what was your opinion on this? Dermot Gallagher says this was a massive error from VAR not to send off
It was,
the Brighton player for the challenge on Williams, I think it was.
I think it was Lewis Dunk, was it? I can't remember.
Lewis
But
Dunk, he made the
for
tackle.
me, it's a shocking decision. It's a clear red card. Like.
Forest are on a bad run too at the moment. They just can't seem to get a result.
And I'm not going to lie and say we weren't lucky against them, but geez, they're getting a tough run of the green. Sometimes I think Liverpool get it bad, but Forest are getting it rough.
How do you see it now? Luton, Forest, Everton, and Brentford, they're all kind of sandwiched in now. If Luton were to beat Brentford or Bournemouth in this game in hand, it really makes 2 points between them. But how do you see it between them 4 teams? Who do you think's the most likely to join Burnley and Sheffield United?
Oh, right. Oh, I'm going to say Everton. I know Forest on a bad run, but Everton are desperate. But then again, you said at Christmas that you fancy Brentford to go down, and they're not pulling up any trees. So, but
I
for
think
me,
it all comes down to tomorrow night. If Luton won that there, any one of the 4 could go down.
uh,
Especially the fact that there could be points deductions for Everton and Forest.
that's why I'm saying Everton or Forest for me. That one of them two's gone. I think.
Do you think Luton will stay up, man?
I think they'll just. I think Luton will do it in the final day.
And last night's action seen Chelsea beat Newcastle 3-2. I
Did they
mean,
finish 3-2 in the end? I didn't even know.
3-2. These two teams have been struggling. Chelsea now a point behind Newcastle with a game in hand at home to Spurs, so they're right beside them in the table.
The rest for the
And
Conference
all of a
League.
sudden, that 7+, even possibly 6th if United don't get their act together, could be wide open for them teams because they're all inconsistent. So anybody who puts their own together could nick into them 6th and 7th spots. What's your thoughts on these two teams? Both managers under a bit of pressure, probably more so Pochettino, but Eddie Howe as well. You know, I don't think they're going to win the FA Cup because they're playing Man City away on Saturday. I think they'll be out.
Their
All of a
season,
sudden, they don't get
their
Europe.
Newcastle season finished on Saturday.
You think so?
Because I can't see them getting Europe. I can't see Chelsea getting Europe either. As much as United are bad, I can't see them dropping to 7th. I didn't see a lot of this game to be honest, but I read bits of it and I seen a couple of goals. I thought again, I think Cole Palmer's been a find for Chelsea, hasn't he? I think last night when he scored, that's his 11th goal of the season, and then I saw Mudrik's goal, which was a great goal to be honest. But I just think for Newcastle, I think Europe has had a big effect on them this season. And to
Do
be
you think?
fair,
Do you think? Sorry, go ahead. Do you think Eddie Howe's taking Newcastle as far as he can? Do you think it's time for a change, or do you think he should be given more time at the end of next season?
I would give him the next season if they're still struggling by say October November time next season. Then I would say it all depends on what they can do in the summer because we know the financial rules are changing, so we don't know how that's going to affect teams. If
Do you think he
Newcastle,
will get? Do you think he will get that time if their season finishes and they finish 9th, 10th, no European football? Do you think he'll still get another chance?
I think they'll give him the first few months of next season. I am convinced. Pochettino, I think no matter what happens, depend if he wins the FA Cup, which I don't think he will. So just say he doesn't win the FA Cup. I think Pochettino's gone at Chelsea anyway because to be honest, I don't think he likes Chelsea. The Chelsea fans don't like him. It's just a match made in hell, really, isn't it?
Hmm. Let's look ahead to the midweek football. I mean, starts tonight. Really, Arsenal taking on Porto in about 10 minutes time. Porto lead Arsenal 1-0, but the second leg at the Emirates tonight, where Arsenal have been very strong at home. How do you see this now? Do you think Arsenal can turn this around now?
It's like I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal go 3-0 up in like 15 minutes or something. I can see them blowing Porto away tonight. I hope not because it'd be funny. Because Arsenal fans are pain to listen to, but it'd be funny. But no, I can't say anything. But Arsenal turn around. I'm gonna go 4-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, go cruise day victory. Interesting. We're talking about the Champions League. It was just announced about a couple of hours ago. There's going to be like a tennis seeding format.
I don't know
Season
about this.
Champions League knockout stage. So basically, come the end of the league phase in January of next year, the
My
top
computer.
four teams. So the top four teams will be unable to meet. The teams that finish first to fourth will be unable to meet until the semi-finals. The teams finishing first and second will be unable to meet until the final. So basically, it's what they're saying is it's an
It's
incentive for
easier for
teams that are
Brighton to
say,
get
have
through.
won their first 5 or 6 games, not to put out reserve teams in the final couple of games because there's a reward. The higher up, the easier the draw should be. I mean, what do you make of this?
See, to be honest, I spoke about this last week. I wasn't a fan initially, but then when I read on about it, it looks exciting. We're not going to get like Liverpool
Well,
versus.
you see,
Uh,
the problem is Man City have won their first 4 games in the group stage and put out 2 reserve sides in the final 2 games because they were already through. So it's to stop so many meaningless games taking
yeah,
place.
that's what I was going to say. We're not going to see like Liverpool versus Sparta Prague, say, because we seen last week. I know that's the Europa League, but I'm just using it as an example. Like our Man City, Copenhagen. I don't think we'll see that now. So it'll be interesting to see how it works. Obviously, it
Well,
won't.
the thing is, if Liverpool already won, say their first, say the 8 games, they've won all 7, but
Yep.
our teams have won a lot of games, and Liverpool are sitting third. They
How
may
do they
face
decide now?
if this wasn't the format, they might just send say they're playing Napoli away, they might just send out the reserve side and go, "Do you know what, we're already through." But the fact now that they can possibly get the first gives
Yep.
them that incentive that they should still try and win the game. So I think it's a good idea that it will make for more interesting games.
Uh, I feel sorry for like I do feel sorry for like the Copenhagen and because they're never. I know they would never have a chance anyway, but geez, it's even less of a chance now.
Obviously, a lot Arsenal on tonight. Man City already through. A whole pile of teams in action on Thursday night, including Liverpool. How
We're
many English teams do you think we'll see in Friday's draws? Obviously, Man City and Arsenal will be hoping they join Man City in the Champions League. Liverpool, I think, are through 5-1 up.
yeah,
Brighton 4-0 down. They look to be gone. West Ham 1-0 down, so they've got a home game against Freiburg. They could turn that around. And obviously, Villa have a home leg in the Conference League against Ajax with a score 0-0. So, how many English teams do you think we'll see? Because this is going to be important for the likes of
yeah,
Spurs, Villa, and Man United chasing that fifth spot. Because the more English teams that are involved, the more chance of getting points, and they're already behind Italy and
yeah.
Germany at the moment. So, how do you see it?
Um, I'm taking like Arsenal, Man City are already through. I know we have to play a second leg, but we're already through. Brighton are gone, so I think the only ones I can see going out really are West Ham, and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Ajax knock Villa out because they just don't look great at the minute. So I'm going to put me neck. I'm going to say West Ham go through, but Villa go out.
And you think Brighton are gone, and you think Arsenal will
But
join Man City and Liverpool.
Brighton are going. They got decimated out in Roma. What I do want to say is, but before that first like Roma fans are scum. Like
Yeah.
they're just
It's
awful.
not the first time English clubs have had a footballer in it. There seems to be a very, very
No, it happened.
hatred
It
towards
happened to
English
others.
fans out there.
I also seen speaking of the Europa League, they're making contingency plans in case Liverpool meet Rangers because that's going to be a problem.
Not just, I think they're going to need a lot more Garda as well because
Uh,
that's not going to be easy. But
no.
that's a story for another day. And
But,
finally, Owen, Premier League action tomorrow night as well. We spoke about it
yeah,
earlier. Bournemouth take on Luton. That is a game in hand for both teams. More important for Luton than it is for Bournemouth. Do you think Luton can? I mean, even if Luton can get a point, it's a point
yeah.
game because this is effectively a free hit because they've got this extra game they play to make up. So even a point for Luton gets them closer to the teams above them. So how do you see this game going?
Are Luton at home?
Bournemouth are at home.
If Luton were at home, I give them more of a chance. But I think they'll make a point. I'll go 1-1 because Bournemouth haven't been great either. Like they struggled against Sheffield United, so I think if they struggle against Sheffield United, either at home, but I think Luton can give them a game. Like.
Oh, and finally, going to look at the weekend before we go off here to watch the Arsenal game. So, some big games at the weekend. No more bigger.
Surprised you don't have a portal top on.
For wow. Um, I can't see any on Arsenal one, to be honest. But
Yeah.
we'll see. Man United Liverpool will be the big game this weekend in the FA Cup that everyone's looking forward to. St. Paddy's Day. A lot of Irish fans will look forward to this more so than anyone. Um, I mean, I said to you the other night that if United play like they did against Everton and Liverpool play like they did against Man City, I can only see this going one way. Are you confident going to Old Trafford on Sunday?
I like. I just think you can never be overconfident because we've seen what happened at Anfield. They knocked a point, and they will have Hoyland back, I believe. I'm not actually 100%, but I'm nearly sure he's back. So they'll have more up front. But I think, as you say, like if we can play like that for 45 minutes, 45 minutes against Man City, yes, we're at home and we'll be away at Old Trafford. But I think if United play it the way they did on Saturday, and the way we played on Sunday, I think it'll be a foregone conclusion that we're heading to Wembley again.
I think it all comes down to Liverpool taking their chances because they'll get chances. That's where they take them or not.
uh, but
Um,
it'll be interesting for sure.
so you expect Liverpool to go through? Man City, Newcastle. How do you see that going?
I expect Man City to go through, and I'm going to make a bold prediction. I'm going to go. It'll be Man City, Liverpool in the semi-finals. I think.
You think so? Chelsea, Leicester. How's that going to go?
This is I don't know, but you would fancy Chelsea, so I'm going to go Chelsea.
And Wolves against Coventry is the first game of the weekend on Saturday.
Wolves.
Yeah. And obviously, we have a lot of teams in Premier League or FA Cup action. There's not a reduced Premier League fixture list. The biggest
Yep.
game probably being Fulham Spurs in that top four fight, but there is some more games. So,
Is that on
quick
TV?
fire
Fulham
predictions
Spurs,
before we go
no?
off. What's up?
Is Fulham Spurs game on TV?
5:30 on Sky on
Half
Saturday.
five.
Just a few games. Owen, Burnley, Brentford. How do you see that going?
1-1 draw.
Luton against Nottingham Forest. That's massive. Luton at home.
2-1 Luton.
Fulham against Spurs.
3-0 Spurs.
And West Ham against Villa on Sunday at 2 o'clock.
Oh, that's a big game too. I'm gonna go 1-1. I think Fulham will struggle again.
Owen, thanks very much for joining me. Just about to kick
No
off here the
work.
Arsenal game, so we will get off air and watch that. I'll be back later on this week, looking ahead the more in depth into them games this weekend and reflecting on the 1 week action, including the Champions League and the Premier League game as well. I think I'll be on Thursday night, so I won't get a chance to do the draw on Friday morning as I'll be at work. So we'll touch on the routes to the final for the English teams on next week's podcast. The one probably with yourself next Monday. We'll probably do next Monday night next week because there's no Monday night game. It's not the national break, so we'll do our Champions League. How we think that's going to go, and the Europa League. Who's going to be in the final and stuff.
Cheers, lad.
Darren saying good listen. Thanks as much. And if you're new around here, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. We'll see you later on this week.
Cheers, lad.